Welcome into another Purple Insider Extra. Matthew Coller along with Sam Ekstrom here. A reminder to subscribe to the podcast, Purple Insider Podcast, if you want to listen to longer conversations, and check out our written work, purpleinsider.substack.com. Subscribe to us here on YouTube as well. All right, Sam, we had a chance to talk with Michael Pierce for 30 minutes today on a Zoom call. I think that's a new record for a player. He seemed really excited to get back to football. What should we expect from Michael Pierce as he returns from his opt-out last year?
I think there's probably an intangible level that's going to help this team. I think he's going to be a great locker room guy. I think he's going to be someone that the defense can rally around as that anchor piece. I don't think he's going to be an every snap kind of player. That's not who he has been. He's 341 pounds. He's dealt with asthma in the past. I think he still stays like a rotational run stuffer. Probably first down, second down, occasionally third down in short yardage situations. But I don't think he's going to be like the every down kind of guy that's going to win you a lot of games by himself, but he's going to have an important role. And between Pierce and Dalvin Tomlinson working in tandem, I think that'll cover certainly a lot of ground and do a lot to help that defensive line and obviously help out the linebackers too. You know, allow Eric Kendricks to shoot gaps. That's kind of how the Vikings play these things at defensive tackles. So I think he'll have a good impact. I think he'll have a positive impact in that locker room. I don't think he's going to single-handedly win them football games.
Two things that really stuck out from our discussion with him to me. Number one was he said he was 341 pounds, which for most of us would be horrifying. But for a nose tackle, that means he has slimmed down a couple of pounds. He said that he played at 350 for the Baltimore Ravens, but that was a concern when a guy does not play for an entire year. What type of shape is he going to be in? And he said he made a concerted effort in his time off to make sure that his body was going to be ready to go when he returned. So that's a big deal for them. And it will be very interesting to see once we get to training camp, what he looks like back out there in pads. The other thing too, was he mentioned wanting to come to Minnesota in part because Mike Zimmer wanted more from the nose tackle position in terms of pass rush penetration. And that is something that Linval Joseph was, I think, underratedly good at. And it's unfair to compare Michael Pierce to peak Linval Joseph, who was probably a top 3 player at his position at that point and a Pro Bowler and one of the strongest guys in the NFL. But I think they want the same. And I guess I wouldn't be surprised if they do try to work with Michael Pierce's quickness a little bit more on the inside to get some pass rush. But him combined with Dalvin Tomlinson, you still can't really see it being a significant pass rush impact from those two guys.
Yeah, I mean, the career high between the two of them is 28 pressures in a year, which isn't amazing. But, you know, you asked him a good question about what he knows about Mike Zimmer's scheme, and he said that he's been studying Linval Joseph independently for years. And, you know, the Vikings picked up Linval Joseph after his first contract in New York. They get Michael Pierce at a similar point in his career. He's 28 years old. He's coming off a year where he slimmed down. He's probably in a pretty good place, like mentally, physically. I think they're getting him in his prime. The question is, can you ramp up and like get in football shape quickly, especially in a virtual offseason too, which we might be headed toward. We're not sure about that yet. So will he be able to play a lot of snaps early? Will it take a while for him to acclimate? We're not sure about that, but it seems like it was a productive off year for Michael Pierce, who like kind of discovered, you know, how to trim some of that bad weight. He got into CrossFit. He got a dog that he's probably chasing around named Princeton, who he's really excited about. It was just in general pretty good to see that this guy who had to make a pretty gutting decision to like sit out the season seems like he made the most of it.
Also interesting that he mentioned that after seeing the protocols for the NFL, he did regret his decision to opt out. And I think maybe the NFL, if they were to do it again, they would have given players the option to maybe opt back in once they saw how the protocols were going to go. That whole situation was very hectic when Michael Pierce decided not to play last season. And he said, just like every other Vikings fan, he basically just had to sit back and watch the show, which included one game where they gave up 6 touchdowns to a running back. So he is motivated to turn that run defense around, I think, clearly. And on our podcast feed, by the way, you can watch or listen to, rather, the entire press conference from Michael Pierce. So we'll catch you next time here. This has been a Purple Insider Extra.